Hey guys, welcome back. We've got a quick video today on fatigue. Now, if you have seen Steve's recent post on fatigue masks fitness, I thought it was a very, very cool post, talking about how he came back from training. Maybe his training was a little bit inconsistent, and his strength was there, and he hit some really kind of good, squat PBs and cleans, and actually he was just like, allowing his body to not just be masked with fatigue because he was training so regularly. It actually allowed him to, still hit some big numbers. So me and Tom have just got a really kind of quick few slides here, and we're going to show you some stuff on the hub that'll be really beneficial because, during lockdown, we can be guilty of maybe kind of training a little bit too much. Tom, is this something you're seeing at the moment? Maybe kind of people because it's in the same environment, or just like maybe because they haven't got the right weight or feel that they are not training as much, they may be training a little bit too much?
Yeah, I think so. I think some people have got a bit more time in their hands, so they can be a bit like a moth to a light. They kind of get sucked in by certain workouts. I think there's a potential for kind of overdoing movements and muscle groups. If you haven't if you haven't got certain bits of kit and you're kind of limited, you're going to end up maybe doing a lot of pressing, a lot of hinging. So potentially shoulders, lower back, hamstrings are going to get a bit of a hammering.
Yeah, definitely. So, it's to be aware. So we need to be aware of why fatigue during training. So, lack of substrate. So not eating enough overall calories, not eating enough carbohydrates. This is one of the reasons why we fatigue in training. We all know that if we don't want to pick that bar up, or we feel a little bit lightheaded after a very long workout. Decrease in motor unit recruitment, hydrogen ion buildup. So often people think about lactate buildup. Necessarily lactate is the bad guy. It's more about this kind of acidic environment, hydrogen ion buildup. And then look, this is something that, again, Tom kind of mentioned there, because we are maybe limited to what we do, we might do a lot more squatting, pressing, so air squats, lunges, jump squats, all of these different things, dumbbell things, backpack squats. It's a lot of the same repeated movements on the same muscle groups, and this can lead to DOMS. Now, DOMS is something, yes, we get sore, but it can also reduce our force output and our range of movement. Okay, and that can cause fatigue. So, sometimes when you feel fresh and you go in, the next day you kind of be like, okay, well, I can't barely even press these 15 kilo dumbbells now for like four or 5 reps. It's maybe because you've just been doing handstand push-ups, handstand walks, overhead holds, blah, blah, blah. So you get the point. Like there's some certain things that cause that fatigue in training. Now, look, Tom follows, I say, the JST strength bias. And at home, we have, obviously potentially limited options. But Tom, just talk to people about how, if they are feeling kind of fatigued, and the guys are so good on this. So reach out to the coaches, reach out to, for advice. But in terms of maybe kind of picking your priority, this is definitely something that that maybe kind of people get a little bit wrong, correct?
Yeah, I think so. I would say I'd say often people maybe revert to type a little bit. So whether either if they're limited by what they can do training wise, or let's say they're feeling a bit sore, or maybe they're feeling a bit unwell this time of year, kind of coughs and colds, people revert to type. And I often see people revert to kind of the Metcon style, or I'll just do a 40-minute EMOM, or all these kind of things. And does that actually help you recover? Does that actually kind of help your overall goal? Whereas actually, if you're not feeling 100%, there's probably more benefit in terms of improving recovery, and then not kind of hammering it too hard by going and doing those kind of bodybuilding, hypertrophy, maybe with a little bit of strength sessions. It's not a session where you're going to kind of completely deplete your body. But you're still going to move, you're still going to get blood going, circulating around, but actually you might be able to work on those weaknesses, or work on those skills a little bit more too.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really important point. And, then this becomes a really crucial thing, that you need to align your nutrition to this. Now, if you feel that, lack of substrate, or maybe even kind of this like fatigue, this kind of acidic kind of like, lactate kind of build up in your muscles is happening regularly, potentially you're not providing the kind of enough fuel for you to to kind of push through. So it might be due to overtraining, or potentially kind of doing too much in lockdown. like Tom said, like too many metcons or too many of the same movement patterns, because that's what we can only do. But it also makes sure that you're eating enough, like eating enough of the correct substrates. Often people think that because they've got lighter or not got the heavier weight, that they maybe don't need enough fuel. Like maybe they are under eating because they're like, oh, I'm only training at home. It's only like, this. Whereas actually, as Tom said, you maybe got a little bit more time on your hands. So you end up training a little bit longer. You don't have this kind of like, right, well, I've got a class and it finishes at, 12 o'clock on the dot. You might be like, I'll just do a little bit extras after. And then all of a sudden, this fatigue accumulates. And if you're not aligning your nutrition to that, guys, it can then lead to fatigue. So, that again, like Steve said, can mask your progression, can mask your fitness. So make sure that you're kind of prioritizing that again, and don't just be thinking about going to here and doing the Metcon. And, Tom, you definitely do this in terms of, how you approach the JST kind of programming. Give people a bit of insight in terms of what you do or what you
Definitely. Again, when you've got potentially double days, if you're on a 2-a-day program, I think, again, you have to look at the bird's eye view and like, right, so in my training day, if I've got conditioning in the morning and if I've got strength work in the afternoon, like what's my focus? So for me, my goal is always the strength side. I'm always trying to get stronger. I'm always chasing that. So for me, I want to hit the 5 sets at whatever percentages. I don't want to hit 3 sets. So there's no point me, completely going gun ho in the morning, not recovering, not eating enough, maybe and in between, and then so I can give it everything in those afternoon sets. But the same goes if you are feeling fatigued. Like 3 sets at better quality is going to be better than maybe 5 sets. With not as good range of motion, or maybe you hit failure or something like that. So you can. It's very very well written. I'll agree that you can pick. When to push and when to just to kind of hover around that 7, 8 out of 10. That's absolutely fine.
And Tom's not saying like don't sandbag the session. He's just saying choose the lower reps, choose the lower sets, choose the thing, and prioritize. If you got double days or whatever, then prioritize what you want to get better at. Like you say, Tom's always going to get prioritize the strength because that's his primary goal. He's not going to sack off the conditioning or the other WODs or anything like that. But he might be like, say, choosing that slightly lower, and that's going to help you to manage your fatigue. So really, really, really great thing. And that's why the JST program is so great, because it gives you that kind of slight flexibility and to be able to personalize it. So I think it's so good. So guys, thank you so much. Like to kind of talk, listen to that presentation. So what I really would encourage people to do is to come over to the PH Hub, log in, come over to courses. Okay, once you come into here, we've got recovery. We've got a whole program on recovery. You can download the workbook, and kind of that gives you, like where you need to kind of put your primary area of focus, or you can just simply just kind of work through things. Okay, so we've got about what is recovery, but we've got why we fatigue. Okay, a really key thing that I want you to understand is that central nervous system fatigue, CNS fatigue, can happen at both submaximal and maximal contractions. So often we just go, oh, my CNS is fried after a big lifting session, or maybe I'm kind of doing a lot of deadlifts or something like that. Whereas actually CNS fatigue can happen if you're just doing jump lunges and squat jumps. Like it can happen at submaximal contractions because we accumulate this fatigue. So this can happen at home. So don't be thinking that it's just something that you're lifting heavy. And then obviously that then maybe masks your progress, maybe masks your fitness, and maybe you aren't hitting your percentages. So don't, just be really, really aware, guys, that there's lots kind of going on. And just because we're in lockdown and just because you might have access, you need to still be aware. Okay. And as I said, not eating enough. Okay, we may need to make sure that you're aligning your nutrition to the amount of volume that you're doing, and potentially you're doing a tiny bit more volume than you would be doing in a CrossFit class, because we have more time. And because we're doing more things that are, easier to kind of warm up into, rather than kind of warming up for snatches and barbells when we're hitting things, we're more maybe doing dumbbell snatches where it takes 2 or 3 rounds to warm up. So just please make sure that you kind of come through here, watch this video. It's only 6 minutes. We're trying to keep them short, and then just come to the next lesson and then be thinking about, are you thriving or surviving? Okay, ask yourself these things, watch this kind of short video, look at these, the lessons on overtraining, look at cortisol, look at nervous systems, you know, because this is a really, really crucial thing, guys, that, you know, we're coming into kind of like 2-3 weeks and now back into January. You need to be making sure that you're not just training every single day, and that you have some form of structure, and that the recovery is a super important thing, even at home, even when we're training at home. So please come through, look at these lessons, you know, and look at kind of, you know, these types of things that we got on here that are going to be really, really important for you to be able to kind of align your nutrition and training together. So good. Thank you for listening, guys. Tom, thank you very much for a couple of those, you know, little nuggets there. And guys, as always, come over to the, you know, to the homepage. You know, if you're on JST, you can come to my account, click the JST, and let's submit a question. You know, drop us a message, go through the specific bias pages, but definitely check out that recovery lesson for me, and pop us any questions if you've got anything you need guidance on.